being on help. So that doesn't matter anymore. Okay.
Stand by, counsel, here, but we can go and go. I just don't know.
She's on route, actually, Judge. She actually sent a message to me a minute ago and said she's on route.
Well, you can.
I think we're gonna have to wait. Was she here this morning?
She was, yes.
Okay. En route, en route from where?
Yes, sir, from the hotel, just about a block or two away.
Okay. I'll let y'all go back there, because since you see me here, maybe 3 minutes, it may be 10 minutes. Y'all step back there and I'll get you out. Thank you.
sir? Bradford, you reminded you're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir. And just very briefly, you work with Athens Park County Police Department, correct?
I do.
And what is your current position and responsibility, sir?
I'm the supervisor of our crime scene and forensic unit.
And in December of 2010, were you a supervisor at that time, or were you assigned to crime scene investigation forensic?
I was an investigator in the crime scene unit.
And when did you become supervisor?
In 2011.
And if you will, let me go back to the evening of December 28, 2010. Were you working at that time, sir?
I was.
And when were you working at that point? What hour did you have, if you recall?
It was an evening shift. I believe it was the 3 to 11 shift.
And during that time, at 8:30 or shortly thereafter, were you notified to proceed to the scene of the shooting off Nottingham Drive?
I was.
And was that 360 Nottingham Drive here in Athens Park County?
It was.
And what were you notified to go do at that time?
They contacted me, actually, the evening shift supervisor contacted me and said they had a shooting and he needed forensics to respond, or crime scene unit to respond.
And did you do that?
I did.
And when you arrived over there to the residence, was anyone else assisting you on that particular case?
There were several detectives on the scene, several patrol officers, basically maintaining scene security and guiding me to what evidence they had located.
And tell us about the scene when you arrived. What did it look like?
There was a lot of activity going on at the scene. Some of the first responders from the fire department and EMS were still on scene, making arrangements to transport the shooting victim. So there were quite a few people there at the scene at the time.
And that victim was turned out to be Kenneth Martiret, is that correct?
That is correct.
He was still on the scene at that time?
He was.
And while you were there, was he transported by EMS?
He was.
And what were you, let me ask you, at some point during that evening, did another crime scene investigator basically assist you?
At a later point in the evening, yes, sir.
And who was that?
Detective Harold.
Now, if you will, let me show you what's already been admitted to evidence as state exhibit number 30. Do you have that laser up there, y'all still?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
So I'll take it a moment.
Sir, do you recognize that aerial photograph of the area of town that has Hawthorne and Overlook?
Yes, sir.
And you see the Nottingham subdivision in that particular aerial photograph?
I do. Appears that Nottingham Drive is this kind of horseshoe drive here.
And for the record, you see 360 there indicated on the diagram.
Yes, it's right in this area.
Is that where you responded, sir?
Yes, sir.
And sir, let me show you what's been already admitted to evidence in State Exhibit 25. See if you recognize what that is a photograph of, sir.
That's a photograph of 360 Nottingham Drive to include the driveway and carport.
And that's a daylight photograph.
It is.
Correct. And at the time you arrived, was it nighttime?
It was.
And now, if you will, tell us how you proceeded. Basically, what did you do? Did you immediately start taking care of matters before the deceased was removed from the scene, transported from the scene, or what did you go about doing at that time? How do you go about doing it?
Well, we try to have a standardized set of procedures. When the initial responding officers come to a serious crime scene, they typically mark it off with crime scene tape. One of the things I do is I try to document that the area has been secured with crime scene tape. As EMS was still there, we kind of waited for them to transport. At the time, I was still under the impression, and officers on the scene were still under the impression that the victim was still alive. I was working at like an aggravated assault scene, not a homicide scene. My first step is taking pictures, and I remove from the perimeter the most exterior part of the crime scene, which we call the least intrusive, into the interior of the crime scene, which we call the most intrusive. So I'm taking pictures, trying to capture 360 degrees of what the crime scene looks like. And that goes, as I say, from the outside of the crime scene down to small items like shell casings, blood evidence, and the like.
And tell us, if you will, when you indicate you initially take, overall photographs kind of from the outside in, after taking those overall photographs, you indicated you may note while you do that certain bits of evidence that might be available that you observed by the naked eye at that point?
That's correct. Typically, when patrol officers are responding to scenes, they will come across items of evidence. In this scene, obviously no different. They would, in this case, actually lay out pieces of, I guess it was about a 3x5 note paper on items they had located. In addition to what they note, I try to locate any additional evidence that may be pertinent.
And after you wound up doing that, as far as your procedure, once you document the area by photographs and document photograph certain areas from outside in that may have potential pieces of evidence there, how do you proceed at that point, sir?
Once I identify items of evidence and I've taken my initial photographs, which are what we call long range, medium, and close up, meaning that I get a photograph that shows where the item of evidence might be, then I get a slightly closer up, what we call medium range, and then close up where you can actually see what the item is. After we've done that, we lay out evidence placards. They have a number and a scale on them. I set those out to identify actually which piece of evidence, to give it a number basically for when I go to collect it.
And do you photograph it then once you basically start placarding different items?
Yes.
And you collect it, and what do you do with it?
In this instance, we collect it and put it into an evidence bag, labeled with the case number, a description of what the evidence is, who collected it, so on and so forth.
And do you do anything else in regard to documenting the scene as far as any kind of measurements or diagrams or otherwise when you go through this?
Depending upon the severity of the scene, we will often do diagrams. In the case of serious incidents like aggravated assaults or homicides, we will draw diagrams the diagrams are not to scale, but we take measurements so we can triangulate items of evidence in the crime scene with the intent that if we needed to reconstruct the crime scene exactly, we could put evidence back where we collected it from.
Now, on this particular occasion, after arriving, did you proceed with that procedure, begin to process the scene at that point, or at that time you thought you had an aggravated assault?
Correct.
Tell us basically what you did when you, after arriving there and after the deceased had been transported from the scene there.
I took my photographs initially, and then I had asked the resident, Ms. Jordan, for consent to search the interior of the house to see if there was any evidence inside. Went in and photographed the interior of the house, didn't locate any items of evidentiary value, and it was during that time we were notified the victim had passed away. At that point, our focus kind of shifts. We want to make sure that we're making the best case possible. often when a shooting or a homicide occurs at a house, we're worried about preserving evidence, making sure that we have, we don't necessarily want to ask for consent because we may have a suspect in the house. At that point, when we determined that he had passed away, we pulled out and waited for a search warrant.
And did y'all wait for a search warrant to be secured?
We did.
And was the search warrant secured for that particular resident as a matter of precaution?
Yes.
And following that, what action did you take, sir?
While we were waiting on the search warrant, I processed the victim's car. We weren't worried about a third party's expectation of privacy in his car, being that it was his. We processed it for fingerprints and searched it for evidence. We also did some timing of motion sensor lights. One of the witnesses had talked about seeing the motion sensor come on and then extinguish. So I timed its interval after activating the light. That was the extent of the investigation while we waited on the search warrant to arrive.
And just for the record, what was the time of the interval about the time that motion light would come on and when it would go off?
Give me just a second here. About 4 minutes.
Now, if you will, once the search warrant was secured, what did you do after that?
We had placarded some evidence prior to going into the house to do the photographs under consent. We basically picked up where we left off, placarding and collecting evidence.
And so tell us basically how you proceeded and basically what you found and what you wanted to do at that time.
We placarded several items. It actually ended up being 9 items. 5 of those were .40 caliber shell casings. 3 of those were blood stains that we took samples from, and 1 was a black stocking cap. After placarding those items and collecting samples of the blood, I picked up the shell casings and secured them in evidence bags.
And did you identify them as item number corresponding with the placard number?
I attempt to do that. It just helps understanding later if an item we placard with the number, if that number corresponds to what we need in the evidence sheet. Prior to collecting, I should have mentioned, we did take triangulation measurements, which consist of finding 2 static points that aren't going to change, like the post of the carport, corner of the house, corner of a set of stairs. We have those 2 points and we measure out to the item of evidence that we're measuring to. We note those so that we can, using the 2 static points, we can put the item. So prior to collection, we did do the triangulation measurements.
And then those items that you collected, what did you do with those, sir?
We secure them in our vehicles while we're continuing the crime scene investigation, but after that we transport them to the precinct where we place them in evidence lockers.
Now, in this matter, sir, if I can, let me show you what's been pre-marked here. State's Exhibit 960 through 1037, if you will. The judge, there was a set of numbers in there that went with a different set that we're going to introduce to the next witness, so as we label those pieces together.
So again, these are numbers what?
960 through, man. You said 1037, looks like 1057, Judge. 1057.
Thank you.
Look through those photographs and see if you recognize those. You recognize what those are photographs of, sir?
I do.
And what are those photographs of?
Those are the photographs I took at the scene that night.
And I've got another set I'll display to you later about the inside, but those are photographs that you took of the scene that night. Is that right? At various stages of the process?
That's correct, yes, sir.
They fairly inaccurately reflect the scene as you found it to be on that night of December 28, 2010, when you came out there to process that scene.
They do.
Your Honor, we would tender State Exhibit 960 through 1057 into evidence at this time.
Can you check? No, sir, no.
Let me show you, if I can, sir, what's been marked as State Exhibit 1058 to 1061. See if you recognize those items.
Thank you.
What are those items, sir?
These are copies of the scene diagram I drew.
And 1058 is what?
It's an overall, my initial drawing of a driveway, yard, and home at 360 Nottingham.
And 1059 is what, sir, the next diagram?
1059 is another copy of that diagram with my placarded items listed on it.
Yes. And 1060 is what, sir?
1060 is another of that diagram that documents the points I use to do triangulation measurements.
And then 1061 is what, sir?
That is the actual measurements of the individual items of evidence.
We would offer to evidence 1058 through 1061 at this time. Your turn.
No, sir, no.
Sir, let me show you, if I can, first of all, State Exhibit 1058 is overall position. And if I do that, let me just show you, first of all, states 925, this is the point of reference there.
Okay.
This particular 1058 here, this overall, is that diagram to scale at all?
It is not.
And did you compare that after coming back to the department at some point,
Yes.
after processing the scene, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And explain this particular diagram to the jury about the different points, how the house is set up, where the carport is, the fence, and the different areas that have benefited.
This is an attempt at a bird's eye view. The house is surrounded by a fence. This is the front yard area, a side yard, and a backyard. Again, it's a bird's eye view, so what's indicated as a Ford Explorer here is actually under a covered carport. This is the driveway. This is where the victim's car was parked. And this attempts to locate or to show the locations of windows and doors for the home there at 360 Nottingham.
In this area here, sir, a little portion right there on the other side of what you labeled as the victim's car, and then on the right side, and the line that comes out perpendicular from that, perpendicular from the driveway coming down. What is that there?
There is a fence and a gate right here. The gate was open where the victim's car was parked right there.
And did that fence turn the corner and head down along the side of the yard, or it appear to be?
It did.
And can you point in there where it was, that the deceased was, and where it is? You found a good bit of evidence there.
Around the carport, it's my belief the victim obviously had been moved from the scene by EMS, but this is the area we believe he was in.
And was there a large pool of blood or a spot where blood had basically come?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you documented that in photos as well?
I did.
Let me go ahead and go through a number of these photos, sir, if I can. This is exhibit 960. That may be able to pick up better on the monitors than it does the overhead, I guess. You may want to look at that. What does that represent, sir?
This is the victim's vehicle right here, the Ford Explorer that's indicated under the carport, and actually the front of the home at 360 Nottingham Drive.
We haven't used this function, Judge, but I believe if you touch the monitor, it will actually make a mark there if you choose to do that. There you go, that's much better.
This.
He's making them. I was just trying to lighten it up.
Okay. Good, that, you had it. It was a little bit lighter. There you go.
I don't know if it's a study. I don't know.
May not. But on the monitor, I think it's clearer than what it is over here. But if you make a mark, if you just touch the screen, it should make a mark. Where is the Ford Explorer?
Actually, it's not working.
We tried that the other day.
We did?
It's not working.
Okay, well then we'll continue to use the laser pointer.
This is the Ford Explorer right here.
Okay. And of course, this car right here was what?
That's the victim's Chrysler right there.
And 961 shows what, sir?
This is a closer up view of the home. I'm trying to capture the address of the home right there, 360.
This 963 shows what, sir?
I believe this is after I've attached an external flash to give me some more brightness. This is again another photograph of the address at 360.
And you see there kind of the carport area, sir?
Yes, sir. It's extending out of the house about this area here.
This is at 965. Shows what, sir?
This again is 360. This is the victim's Chrysler. There's the gate that I indicated in the diagram, and the Explorer.
And that area right here is I think you labeled as a brick planter.
Yes, sir.
That fence is coming out from the driveway area.
Yes, sir.
This is at 968.
This is moving in a little bit closer. Again, you can see the address of the home here, 360. The other side of that gate capture a small amount of the victim's car, I believe, right here in the corner. And this is the carport area with the Explorer parked underneath it again.
I'll just show you 971 and then 972. What were you documenting there, sir?
These are there are windows on the house. One of my goals with any scene is to document the condition of the house to see if, or to basically rule out whether there's been forced entry into the home. I'm basically showing that the windows and doors to the home appear to be intact.
973 was showing what, sir?
This is the entry door off of the carport, entry to the home.
And this, what was that right there, sir?
A storm door or screen door.
And you can see the doorknob there. Was that toward the front or the back of the house for the record?
This is actually the side of the house. This should be going into the carport, or going in from the carport, excuse me.
I understand. I didn't make myself clear. If, which way would be toward Nottingham Drive, and which way would be toward the backyard? And all that?
I believe this direction would take you to the backyard, and going in this direction would take you back out to Nottingham Drive.
State's Exhibit 975. You see that door in that particular photograph, sir?
Yes, sir. This is the door we were just talking about with the screen door. And this is a little storage area or maybe a laundry room that's off of that carport.
In the back here where it had that recycle bin and so forth, what was that?
That, I believe, is the back of the home. There's a little covered porch area over that.
And you see a portion of one of the vehicles, just for the record here.
Yes, this is that should be the front corner of that Explorer.
976. Shows what, sir?
This is standing under the carport. Here's the Explorer, and we're looking back out at the victim's vehicle toward Nottingham Drive.
$977. Shows what, sir?
Again, the carport area, the Ford Explorer, and this picture is kind of dark, but these are areas of the city we were trying to capture.
And let me zoom in. I think you may look at your monitor also that to be clear. Can you see in that particular photo, or can you tell the area where there appears to be blood that was on the ground?
That should be in this area right here.
State's Exhibit 978. It's displaying what, sir?
This is the carport area. This should be the passenger side of that Ford Explorer. If we can zoom in right in here. It's one of the pieces of paper that responding officers had laid out.
And 978, 979, excuse me, shows what?
This is a close-up photo, one of those pieces of note paper the officer had laid out, and this is a shell casing.
$981 is displaying what, sir?
This is that deposit of blood we found off to the side of the carport.
That was in 981.
Yes, sir.
983 displays what, sir?
This is more of a medium-range photograph. Captures that same area of the blood deposit and also a black stocking cap.
$984 is a photograph close-up of that stocking cap.
Yes, sir.
At the time, did you have any idea whether that had any relevance to this case?
No, sir.
$989 shows what, sir?
This is that carport edge. You can see the tire of the Explorer right there. This is another one of the shell casings marked with a piece of notebook paper.
990, is that a close-up of that same item, sir?
Yes, sir.
$992 shows what, sir?
This is another piece of note paper right here. I believe that's marking the shell casing right here beside it.
$993.
This is that that same shell casing and piece of note paper, just a little bit closer up.
And 994, sir, what does that show?
This is that, I believe that same shell casing that's marked with the note paper. This is a possible blood stain or a smear on the concrete of the carport floor.
And you collected a sample of that?
Yes, sir.
995 is a close-up of that same thing?
Yes, sir.
$998 was what were you capturing there, sir?
This is the back of the home. In this picture, this is the back set of doors that come out of the rear of the home, covered by a little roof area. And off in this direction over here is where the carport is.
999 is showing what?
Just a shot of the back doors at the rear of the home showing that they were intact.
There have been no forced entry.
None that we could find, no, sir.
And base exhibit 1000 is what, sir?
This is the side of the house opposite the carport. You can see the fence that surrounds the home here. This is that back porch area we were just talking about.
As you face the house from the street, would that side of the house be on the left or the right?
That should be the left side.
Exhibit 1001 is displaying what photograph?
This is from that left side of the house as you were facing it from the street, capturing that back porch area just from the opposing side.
Base exhibit 1002.
This is the carport, the steps going into that door off the side of the house. This is another shell casing marked with a piece of notebook paper.
And that was done before you, again, processed the scene and collecting evidence?
Yes, sir. The intent there to draw notice to it so that it's not potentially kicked or moved by additional responding personnel.
You didn't know whether those items had been kicked or moved or stepped on at all, before you arrived at all, or even before the officer marked them?
Correct. I would not know that, no, sir.
Base exhibit 1003 is what, sir?
This is more of a medium range or close-up of that same shell casing. This is the storm door corner right here.
Base exhibit 1005 displaying what, sir?
This is the driver's side of the victim's Chrysler. You can see the gate and the fenced area coming off the side of it here. Also some of our crime scene tape stretched across where the area is not fenced.
1006 is showing what, sir?
This is the rear passenger side of that same vehicle.
Were you using a flash at this time?
Yes. Some of the photographs turn out brighter than some other ones.
Uh, 1007 is displaying what, sir?
This is more of the carport area. This is that Ford Explorer that's parked under the carport. The entry door off of the carport and screen door. Just trying to give more of an overall view of the scene as we saw it.
And you see in that particular photograph that piece of paper memo pad that marked the shell case.
That should be right here.
Before displaying the next photograph, let me show you displayed to you, State's Exhibit 1059. Just tell the jury what that is. We'll go back over that later, but tell the jury what that is and what those numbers correspond with.
These are the items we identified as having evidentiary value. The individual items of evidence, this would correspond to a placard number. So here you have placard 1, placard 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then down here at the bottom, we always try to include a legend when we're marking items of evidence. This is just a description of what each placard corresponds to.
And at the bottom right, you have the victim's car listed as Chrysler Concord with tag number of the mother's car, being the floor with tag number.
Yes, sir.
I didn't display those, but you documented those tag numbers by photographing them as well.
Yes, sir, I did.
And State's Exhibit 1008, you indicated that after documenting everything overall, further out close in, you proceed to put placards down.
Yes, sir.
And then you photograph those individual placards on pieces of evidence before you collect it.
Yes, sir.
And State's Exhibit 1008 corresponded to which item?
This is a shell casing. This one should be the one right beside the step in the screen door, which would be in this area of or headed in this direction.
Showing you State's Exhibit 1059. Where is that in that diagram?
Should be right here.
Your Honor, if I may, I have set up each of these exhibits for each of the jurors, and as well as Your Honor and the defendant, pass those out in case they need to look at those in better.
Which exhibits are those?
Those diagrams, all 4 diagrams.
Lights on for that, or?
No, sir. They're paper clips. Each set is paper clips. So there's 4 in each paper clip set. And there would be one for the judge and one for the defendant. Use a paper clip. Now, with 1008, we show you this exhibit 1009, sir. What does that display?
This is the driver's side front tire of that Explorer. I'm standing near the door and screen door to the carport, trying to capture placards 3 and 4, just for orientation purposes.
And this exhibit 1010 shows what, sir?
In that same area, this is the front bumper of the Ford Explorer. That other photograph couldn't capture placard 2, so here you have placard 2, placard 3, and placard 4.
And on State's Exhibit 1059, you see two, 3, and 4 on that particular diagram.
Yes, sir. Again, that's the front bumper of the Explorer. The diagram is not to scale, but this is the relative position of 2, 3, and 4.
And on the legend that you created, what was 2, 3, and 4?
Number 2 corresponds to a 40 caliber. This is actually the caliber designation, 40 Smith & Wesson. CCI is the head stamp or the brand of the ammunition. It's just a spent shell casing.
And 3 and 4?
3 and 4 correspond, I called them smears or stains. They weren't droplets of blood. They appeared to be smeared as though something had passed through them, which could have been any one of the responding officers, EMTs. It really could have been anything.
And State's Exhibit 1011 shows what, sir?
This is a close-up of that 40 caliber shell casing with placard number 2 in place.
In 12 shows what?
This is what I placarded as a blood smear or stain, placarded with number 3.
In 13 shows what, sir?
This is the other blood stain that I had noted in that area with placard number 4 placed upon it.
Again, you didn't know how that may have been left, when that may have been left at all.
Correct. I had no way to tell.
State's Exhibit 1014. Describe that, where that's, what's that photograph of, what area, and what are you trying to depict at that point?
We have the passenger side front headlight of the Ford Explorer. This is the edge of the carport concrete. You can see the covering, or the carport posts here. And then I'm trying to show the relative position of placards 5, 6, 7, and 8.
And showing you 1059 again, zooming into that section diagram.
Again, here's,
Those numbers there.
yes, sir. You have the front corner, passenger side corner of that Explorer, placard 5, 6, 7, and 8.
And according to the legend, what is that? Appears to be 5, 6, and 7.
5 and 6 are 40 caliber shell casings. 7 is the larger blood stain, and 8 is the stocking cap.
And State's Exhibit 1015 is displaying what, sir?
This is one of the shell casings placarded as number 5.
That was located as depicted in your diagram.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 1017 displaying what, sir?
This is another shell casing, again placarded with item number 6. And this that you see here is, I believe, some of the packaging from the equipment that EMS used.
In 19 is displaying what, sir?
This is a close-up of placard 6 in that shell casing that was located there.
State's Exhibit 1021 shows what, sir?
This is the blood stain or deposit we were speaking of earlier, marked with placard number 7.
In 23 is displaying what, sir?
It's that same blood stain. You can see placard number 7 here. I have placed a scale in the photograph to try and show how large or what the relative size of that blood stain is.
1026 is showing what, sir?
This is the stocking cap that I placarded as number 8. As we moved in closer, we noted that there was some possible blood stain in the headband area of the stocking cap.
And State's Exhibit 1027, recognize what you were photographing there, do you recall? Let me show you 1028 and see exactly.
As we're going through photographing and looking at the crime scene, this is item number 6. We located another shell casing as we were placarding, and that next photograph depicts placard number 9, which I believe should be right about this area.
1028 is that particular casing marked by a placard.
Yes, sir. In this area, this is more of a medium range photograph, but placard number 9.
This is 1029 is simply a close-up of that particular item.
Yes, sir.
That item was marked in your diagram here, sir.
Yes, sir. That is this placard right here, number 9.
And what was that particular item for the record?
It was another 40 caliber shell casing.
The same brand.
Yes, sir.
State Exhibit 1030. What were you documenting there, sir?
This is the passenger side of the victim's vehicle. I have placard 10 because there's an item inside the vehicle that I need to photograph, but with the doors on the car closed, you can't see it. You'll note on my diagram that there is not a placard 10. Again, I was trying to capture this cell phone that was in the car. It was turned over to another investigator. As such, I did not submit it to evidence, so it did not go into my diagram.
1031. Explain what?
This is the driver's side of the victim's Chrysler.
Back here, there's a white vehicle. What was that vehicle, sir?
I believe that's our mobile command center.
.1032 was showing what, sir?
This is the opening the door of the victim's vehicle, the driver's seat and steering wheel area.
.1033, just a close-up of that same area.
This would be basically as you're sitting in the driver's seat, possibly. This is the center console. You can see the steering wheel here and the gear shift lever.
See the ignition at all in that point?
Yes, it's in this area. The keys are in the ignition.
That's the way you found it?
Yes, sir. I believe you can actually see the radio was on. I think it was in the accessory position.
.1034 is showing what, sir?
This is a close-up of that center console, again showing the condition of the stereo. Trying to depict that the car was in the accessory position with the radio on.
So the electronics on that vehicle were displayed?
Yes, sir.
The car was not running?
No, sir.
.1035 showing what, sir?
This is the area of the ignition. These are the keys that were hanging on a keychain from that ignition switch.
1036 was showing what? And you see the keys in that particular photograph?
This is the cell phone that I had originally placarded as item number 10. I don't know, I think this was a different set of keys.
Where was that particular cell phone located?
I believe that's the passenger seat of the car.
Exhibit 1040 shows what, sir?
This is the cell phone and keys that were in the previous picture, and another black stocking cap in that passenger seat.
The record, what does that show?
Here's the headrest of the passenger seat. This is looking into the back seat of the victim's Chrysler.
Now, this item right here is the back seat. What was that item?
Looks like a booster seat or a child safety seat.
Exhibit 1043 shows what, sir?
This is a back seat view again. This is more of the driver's side, a console, and a pass-through to the trunk.
1044.
This is a view of that same seat, just through the open rear door of the driver's side.
.1046 is displaying what, sir?
This is that booster seat. This should be through the open door of the back passenger side.
.47 just shows a broader view of that same area.
Yes, sir, it does.
.1052 showing what, sir?
This is the front passenger seat. We can see that black stocking cap, the set of keys, and the cellular telephone.
.56 showing what, sir?
Again, I had placarded that cell phone as item number 10.
And you seized that and turned it over to who?
I believe that was Sergeant, at the time, Sergeant Nichols.
And State's Exhibit 1057 showing what, sir?
This is the, I believe this is the interior of the home, that door that goes out to the carport. So this would be from the inside. If the door were open, you'd be looking out into the carport.
Sir, let me show you just, I want to show you what's been marked as 1062 through 92. You can recognize those particular photographs.
That's 1062, 1092.
Yes, sir. I don't intend to offer them at this time. I just want to do a bit more. Quick review those, please.
Yes, sir.
For the record.
Thank you.
Sir, you had mentioned that before you learned that Mr. Ray was deceased. You had gone inside the house with the consent.
Yes, sir.
And you indicated you took photographs.
Yes, sir.
The last photograph of the inside of the door, was that one of the photographs you took?
Yes, sir.
And these photographs, 1062 through 1092, are those also photographs that you took of the inside of the house?
Yes, sir, they are.
And the time you went through there, did you note anything of evidentiary value at that point?
No, sir.
Those were the ones that you took prior to backing out, waiting on the first one?
That is correct, yes, sir.
And did these photographs fairly accurately reflect the inside of the house when you took photographs that particular evening as you described?
Yes, sir, they do.
And then, sir, let's go back, if I will, to State Exhibit 1059. Do you have a copy of that particular diagram within you?
I do.
And just, if you will, go over, please, I won't show the legend, but I'll zoom in on it so it can be better seen. Just items 1 through 9, and what those different items were, sir.
Here we have item 1, that I marked as a .40 caliber shell casing. Item 2, also a .40 caliber shell casing. Item 3, a blood smear or stain. Item 4, also a blood smear or stain. Item 5, a .40 caliber shell casing. Item 6, another .40 caliber shell casing. Item 7, the large blood deposit. Item 8, a black stocking cap. And finally, item 9, which was another .40 caliber shell casing.
And those 40 caliber shell casing, what, each of those, were they all the same shell casing, same kind of shell casing?
The same brand, yes, sir.
And what was that, if you described it?
They appeared to be an aluminum type metal. They were head stamped or branded CCI.
And item 10 was the cell phone that you seized from the car?
Yes, sir.
Sir, 1060, would you describe for the jury what that particular item is?
These are the static points I identified to conduct my triangulation measurements. They are, to avoid confusion, we use alphabetic letters instead of numbers.
What is the point of A? What is that?
That corresponds to the corner of this step that goes or the step that's at the door that goes inside the home off of the carport. It's actually the corner of that step.
And B is corresponding to what?
The opposing corner of that same step.
And C is what, sir?
C is... it's the corner of the laundry room, the exterior of that laundry room, right here.
And D is what?
It's the back corner of the home, probably that same laundry room or storage area right there.
And E is what, over there?
E is... it's indicated right here on the diagram. It's the farthest support post for the carport, right there at the rear of the home.
And if you will, go to the other points all the way, I guess, through I, and just describe what each of those are for the record, please.
Let's see.
Starting with F.
F, right here, is the support post that's at the front of the carport. G, indicated right here, is the support post for the gate right here at the fence. H is the one that's on the other side of the driveway, also a gate post. is the corner of the house right here. And J is this corner of that brick planter.
And you noted on the bottom of that particular diagram certain distances on certain between points. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. These are the distances between the 2 points that I've identified. So the distance from A to B is indicated as 3 feet 5 inches.
Go ahead and go through the different
Yes, sir.
distances for the record, please.
C, again, the corner of that laundry room, to D is 8 feet 3 inches. E, the support post at the back, to F, the support post at the front of the carport, 19 feet 4 inches. G, which is the gate post here at the corner or the side of the driveway, to H, the other gate post, is 10 feet 1 inches. And point I to point J here, again, the corner of the house to the corner of the brick planter, is 19 feet 9 inches.
Sir, if you will, please explain this diagram that's been marked and labeled as State Exhibit 1061, please, sir.
These are my triangulation measurements for the individual items of evidence with a corresponding placard number.
And what do you mean triangulation measurements, sir?
The first half of the triangulation measurements is the distance between the 2 points, as I said, from point A to B and so on. Then we would measure from each of the points, point A at the corner of the step, out to the item of evidence. That's what this, so item number 1 is the shell casing. The distance from the shell casing to point A, the corner of the step, is 2 feet 2.5 inches. And from the item to point B is 2 feet 6 inches. And again, I have the indication measurement from measuring the distance from point A to point B.
And you did that with the different, the 9 different items that you seized on that day, the different points that set forth in the diagram?
Yes, sir.
That was set out as 1060?
Yes, sir.
Comparing to that. And at the bottom of that, for the record, what were those matters that you were documenting?
I also wanted to get the relative positions of the vehicles so they could be placed back in the scene. These are triangulation measurements to put the Ford, to orient the Ford Explorer and the Chrysler Concorde, utilizing those same point or some of those same points to do that positioning.
Yes. And that was done so if need be at some point you could recreate that scene.
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, as far as the different items you collected, you indicated that you seized them and you initially put them in the back of your trunk to secure them.
Yes, sir.
Did you somehow secure them further after doing that, once you completed your work?
Once we complete at the scene, one of my first priorities is to go back to our precinct. Due to the hour, I took those items of evidence and put them in one of our evidence lockers and sealed that with a note that said I would be back the following day to complete the evidence voucher so they could actually be entered into our evidence room.
And you do all that with those items?
Yes, sir.
And you take custody of all those items that you indicated 1 through 9 and kept them secure until it's time you turned them into the evidence room?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
And they remained in your possession the whole time?
Yes, sir.
Lights back on, please.
Let me show you what's been marked as State Exhibit 1093, a particular bag. And do you recognize Yes, that bag to a certain extent, or certainly the contents of that bag?
The contents of the bag, definitely.
Yeah. And what are the contents of the bag, or at least most of the contents of the bag?
There are 6 items in the bag. 5 of the 6 are the shell casings I collected at the scene.
Okay. And how did you, that you recall, actually procure those particular casings? Did you put them inside any particular item at all?
They are inside Ziploc bags inside of this main bag here.
And, Your Honor, if you may open that bag, your scissors or whatever, we need to open it some way. And do you recognize any of the contents of that larger plastic bag that I labeled as 1093?
Yes, sir.
What are those?
These are shell casings. I have item number 1, a 40 caliber shell casing. Item number 2, also a 40 caliber shell casing. Items 5 and 6, 40 caliber shell casing, and item 9, a 40 caliber shell casing.
And those were the items that you seized at the and labeled by placard number, and on your diagram labeled by number. There at the scene of 360 Nottingham Drive, the night and early morning of December 28th and 29th,
Yes, sir.
2010.
Yes, sir.
And those are the ones you took into custody,
They are.
placed in the evidence.
Yes, sir.
The other item in there, let me back up. How did you, those shell casings that you indicated by item number, how did you basically, what did you put those in?
They were placed in these small baggies, so we can keep them separate and make sure that the item number that's in the bag corresponds with the placard number that we have on the scene.
Did you somehow indicate item number, like this casing was labeled as placard 1 and item number on the bag in some way?
Yes, sir. It has, I try to include identifying information. This is just an example. This is our case number, the item number, a description of the item, and then additionally our evidence room also puts these barcodes that have a property ID number on them as well.
And inside that plastic bag, was there some other container?
In this one there is, I believe, just based on the label that I see here, this may be some markings that the GBI in a box that they placed this item in.
Crime Lab may have used it.
Yes, sir.
And, Your Honor, at this time, we would consider the evidence, the contents of that bag, the 5 items you identified that were placed in plastic bags that were marked with those numbers, item numbers that you indicated there, contained in 1093.
Any objection?
No, sir, Your Honor.
The other item, sir, if you will, the 6th item there, do you recognize that particular item at all?
This is a film canister. It contains, I believe, a shell casing that Detective Harold collected.
And did you become aware that Detective Harold,
Sorry. Is that one of the 5 or the 6, or what is that?
That is not one of these 5. That is another item.
Was that in that 1093 bag?
is that contained in 1093?
It is.
And we're not going to tender that to him, but that compare procedure. And as far as that particular item, that was not an item that you see.
No, sir.
And you're aware that the tech compare went back to next one.
Yes, sir, I was.
Put that back inside 1093 at that time. The markings on the outside of that bag, sir, where it had barcodes and so forth on that, were those, recognize those barcodes at all?
Those are the barcodes that they should correspond to the items that are in the bag. They're, if I may explain a little bit further, the GBI has requirements for evidence when it's submitted to them, and I believe that that is where all these, the tape seals that you see, the blue tape is typically used by our evidence room to seal bags. We typically use red tape, which is also, I believe, what the GBI uses. So in order to submit them for convenience sake, since there are 6 of them, I believe that our evidence room probably bagged them as a whole. That's why Detective Carroll's evidence is in with my evidence.
Yes.
And then these barcodes are generated by the folks in the evidence room just to identify what the contents of the bag are without having to open the bag and look at the individual barcodes on the items of evidence.
And on the other side of the bag from those barcodes, is there another sticker?
Yes.
Barcode sticker.
This is not one that's generated by the Athens Clark County Police Department. This, I believe, is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, probably the crime lab's case number and barcode.
Thank you, sir. You have a pair of gloves up there.
Oh, here they are.
You have the seat. You have the- Let me show you what's been marked. It states it's 1094 and 1095.
Thank you.
And first item there, sir, the first bag, what was that, sir?
This is marked as 1094. This has samples of the blood stains that I collected from the area of placard 3, placard 4, and placard 7 at the scene of 369 Hand Drive.
How did you collect those?
We have a specific procedure for collecting those. In this instance, we use sterile cotton tip applicators. They resemble very long Q-tips with wooden sticks. We wet them with the sterile water and swipe them through the area of the stain to collect a sample of the blood or DNA that's left in the stain.
And then what do you do with that swab?
It would be immediately sealed in one of these boxes. That's to protect it. It's marked with the same information, case number, location of collection, who collected it, and the date it was collected.
And it had indicated an item number that corresponds with the placard number?
Yes, sir.
And you collect those just in case there's ever a need to process that.
Correct.
And the stains that you found that time, again, no idea how they got there.
No, sir.
And based on everything that you've done and your training experience at that point, looking back at the scene, with the feeling that those were most likely the deceased.
We had no indication that anyone else was bleeding at the scene. We believed that it was blood belonging to the victim.
And the next item there in that brown bag, sir,
This I have marked as item number 8, the black stocking cap that was represented in the pictures in the diagram.
and that state's exhibit for the record is what?
1095.
And as you look inside that item, see if you will recognize it.
Yes, sir. I do.
And what does that item appear to be, sir?
This is the black stocking cap I collected at the scene.
Your Honor, at this time, I would tender state exhibits 1094 and 1095.
No, sir, Your Honor.
And let me show you what's been marked as 1096, sir. You look at that item and its contents to see if you recognize what those items are.
These are the latent lifts that we made from the victim's Chrysler Concord.
Was that while you were waiting on the search warrant?
That's correct.
Okay. And did you actually, did anybody assist you with that?
I believe Detective Harold assisted. He actually entered I collected these items. He entered them into evidence.
And I would tend to face this 1096.
No, sir, Your Honor.
Sir, about how long were you there at the scene that particular evening that you were talking?
Between 5 and 6 hours, I believe.
And after leaving the scene, the different items that you had, what did you wind up doing?
I took them back and secured them in an evidence locker at the police department. I ended my tour of duty at that point. They were secured again in the evidence locker with a note that I would return, I say the following day, it was the same day later in the day, and complete the evidence voucher for them.
And that's what you did?
Yes, sir.
That's all I have of Sergeant Bradford.
Good morning, Mr. Rapp.
Good morning.
Sir, I'd like for you to tell me about these shell cases again, sir, briefly when you arrived to the scene.
Yes, sir.
How many officers, how did you come in contact with shell cases again, sir?
I was escorted through the scene. I did not know which officer it was, but one of the officers showed me the evidence they had located to that point.
Okay. How many shell cases you find on the scene that night, sir?
That night I located 5.
Okay. I think you said, did somebody come back the next day and found those?
Yes, sir.
Would that have been you or Detective Hero or somebody?
Detective Harold came back the next day.
Okay. The scene cases that you found on the scene tonight, did you find my fingerprints, blood, DNA, anything on there that will connect me to those shell cases?
Not that I recall, no, sir.
How about the one Mr. Hero found? Did they find my DNA, blood, anything that indicate I had any dealing with those shell cases?
I don't have any recollection of that, no, sir.
Well, did you check your shell cases to see who fingerprints or DNA was on?
We submitted those to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. to conduct such testing. I don't know about the results of that testing.
Would you agree that it'll be helpful to find out who shot that man if we get them fingerprint DNA on some shell casings?
If I may explain the processing of shell casings
Yes, sir.
for a minute.
Yes, sir.
We often process shell casings for fingerprints or touch DNA. There is a possibility, albeit slim, that we could recover evidence from them. Because of the temperature at which gunpowder explodes and ignites inside the shell casing, a lot of times fingerprints and DNA can be vaporized. They may not be present. Some recent testing and research has suggested that it may be possible to recover fingerprints and touch DNA off of shell casings that we previously didn't locate anything on. It is difficult. We do not have good results, but it is something that we submit those items for testing for.
At any time during your investigation, anything come from James Lewis, defendant Mr. James Lewis?
Not that I'm aware, no sir.
How about, did you process Mr. Ray Paul fingerprints at night, the inside and outside of that car?
Yes sir.
Okay. Were my fingerprints on there that you found?
Not that I'm aware, no sir.
Well, did you find, whose fingerprints did you find, sir?
I don't know who they belong to. I don't believe they were of a quality to obtain a positive identification on.
You don't believe, or was there, or do you believe?
Again, Detective Harold took those from me to place into evidence to attempt to make a comparison. I don't recall that we got any results, or made any identifications, I should say.
No, but I see Stacy said it 963 and 1057, please, sir.
963 and 1057.
963 and 1057, that's the last room, so I'm,
Okay, yes, sir.
Sir, I'd like you to bring the state exhibit 1034, please, sir. Mr. Roberts, sir. You stated that this radio was on when you got there, call, sir.
Yes sir.
Did you check that radio to see who fingerprints on it, or maybe who turned their radio on?
I didn't recover any fingerprints from that head unit.
Okay, but if there were fingerprints on it and somebody turned it on, that would be helpful for finding the person who actually shot
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ray, right?
Yes sir.
They find James Lewis fingerprints on their radio.
No sir.
I'd like you to look at State's Exhibit 1040, sir. Did you do any DNA testing on that cap you found in that car, sir?
I don't believe we collected that cap. No sir.
But just say if that cap might have been the person who might have done that, would that help find the person who did it?
That's speculation,
So you didn't recover that cap, sir?
I did not.
Why not?
I believed it was the same type of cap that we had found outside. There was no indication that anything had happened inside the car. At the time, I didn't think it was important.
But is it possible that that cap was belonging to the person who shot Mr. Ray?
I suppose it's possible, yes, sir.
When you agree that maybe you have a trouble that and did some DNA testing, you possibly could have found the person who got it possible.
It is possible, yes, sir.
So you agree that do you consider that a thorough investigation by you leaving the evidence behind that testing?
In hindsight, I see that I should have collected that, yes, sir.
I'd like to look at State Exhibit 1052, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
What little item in the front seat there, sir?
Got a cell phone, that stocking cap, a set of keys, and the lid to what I believe is that cup right there in the center console.
Sir,
Not exactly sure what the white item is there.
okay, who keys were those, sir?
I do not know.
Is it possible that the person, did you retrieve those keys?
I'm sorry?
Did you retrieve those keys from their car?
I don't believe so. No, sir.
Is it possible that those keys belong to the person who might have shot them?
That's a speculation.
Is it possible that those keys might have belonged to the person who shot Mr. Gray?
It is possible. Yes, sir.
And you leave evidence behind that could possibly lead to the person who really killed Mr. Ray definitely.
Possibly. Yes, sir.
Why did you do that?
Again, at the time, we had no indication that anything had occurred inside the vehicle. I didn't believe that it was important.
But it possibly could have.
Yes, sir. Possibly.
It's possible that the person who might have been riding on the passenger side of the car with them hats and keys and them might have been with Mr. Ray at the time of this shoot.
Yes, sir.
Did that cross your mind when you were doing your investigation?
Not at the time. No, sir.
So, it's safe to say you didn't do a thorough investigation.
I suppose with hindsight, I should have collected those items.
What happened to the evidence right there? Do you know what happened to it, or what they do with the keys and hats? Do you know what happened?
I do not know. I know that some keys, I don't know if it was those keys in particular, but some were turned back over to the victim's mother.
Do you think she could possibly still have the items, sir?
I suppose it's possible, yes, sir.
Is it possible that Mr. Cam Hall can ask you to go ask his mother, do she still have them items in her testimony?
That's the argument.
I suspect no objection.
That's what you heard for the record. The reason why I say that, Your Honor, Mr. Maul and Mr. Rosenthal to Sycamore Drive to go look for a camera yesterday. I think if he can send him out to look for a camera, he can send him out to try to find this evidence, we test this DNA, and we could possibly see who it is, because it might lead up to the real murder, sir.
I suspect no objection.
Mr. Rapp, sir, I'd like you to look at State Exhibit 1049, sir. Did you collect that cap right there?
I did not.
Is it possible that that cap might have belonged to somebody who might have been riding with Mr. Ray that could have led to who killed him or could have witnessed who killed him? Is that possible?
It is possible.
I assume you didn't get the cap and retrieve it and look on DNA because of the same thing you told us earlier,
I believed it belonged to the victim.
but you wasn't sure.
No, sir.
Possibly could have belonged to the murderer.
It's possible.
Again, sir, I'd like you to look at section 1053, please, sir. I don't think I passed, but that phone,
Yes, sir.
did you retrieve that phone?
I did.
And tell us about that phone.
I turned it over to, he was a sergeant then, Sergeant Nichols. He was going to do an examination on it.
Do you know what he did? He did.
I know he was taking it. I don't know what the results of that were.
Do you know they looked at the phone on the side, that particular phone, sir?
That was the intent of the examination, but again, I don't know what the results of that were.
When the last time you talked to him about this investigation?
Sergeant Nichols was administering the investigation. He was one of the supervisors. He told me that he was going to do what we call a Celebrate examination, which is a device that's used to forensically extract the data from the phone. I don't know what the results of that were.
Do you think those results would have possibly helped us led to the person who killed Mr. Ray?
If indeed there were results, they may have.
But you have no record of that today.
I do not know, sir.
Will you agree that would have been helpful information for phone number to track who we might have been talking to, who they were talking to?
Again, I agree that it was important, but that was Sergeant Nichols' portion of the investigation.
Do you know what Mr. Nichols was going to testify as far as this case? Do you know that, sir?
I believe he's a witness.
So Sergeant Nichols at the phone.
Yes.
You mentioned you found some blood on the scene, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you the one who found the blood on the fence or something?
No, sir. I believe Detective Harold located that.
Okay. What about that blood on the scene? On that fence, what do you know about that?
I know that when he responded in daylight, he located some. I believe he collected a sample of it.
Do you know who that blood belongs to, sir?
I do not know, sir.
Did anybody ever tell you they did Jamie Hood blood anytime? Jamie Hood blood?
No, sir.
So you did a change of property and evidence record, change of custody sheet on the items that you retrieved, sir?
We'll call it an evidence voucher, but yes, sir, I did.
And that would have consisted of samples of blood, shell casing, sample. I see you got possible blood. Is that correct? Tell us about this possible blood.
Well, there's a reason we label it possible blood. We can't be 100% sure at the scene that it's human blood. So we label it possible until it's sent for testing and actually confirmed to be blood.
Okay, did they send in possible blood for testing?
Viewing my samples there, I don't believe they submitted it.
Why not?
was it. We believed it belonged to the victim.
But was you sure you believe?
I believe.
So you wasn't sure?
Yes, sir.
It could have been the person who killed him, right?
It's possible.
Why didn't you check to make sure?
Again, we collect and secure evidence. We're not involved typically in the testing. There are occasions when we are asked to perform submissions, but that usually resides with the assigned case detective. That's at his discretion.
Tell us about the case that you all have performed before. You say y'all performed tests on blood and stuff before. Tell us about that.
In which case?
Any?
And we do submissions all the time.
Tell us about the submissions.
We complete a form, or the assigned case investigator will complete a form. Our evidence personnel transports the evidence in question, whether it be DNA, blood, shell casings, fingerprints. They submit those to the GBI. In the case of blood or DNA evidence, it would be for submission to CODIS, which is the combined DNA indexing system, which is where we get DNA matches from.
Did you do that in this case?
I did not, no, sir.
But you have that before, right?
Yes, sir.
What the difference between this case and the one that you got it on?
Again, that discretion typically resides with the investigator. We sometimes do submissions, but it's at the request of the assigned case investigator. Our role is typically collection.
But you could have if you wanted to, right?
Yes, sir.
In hindsight, you think you should have done that?
Yes, sir.
Is it possible that the sample of blood that the person who shot Mr. Ray?
I believe it's possible.
Tell us about them shell cases. Did they, you say you found 5 of them, sir?
Yes, sir.
What y'all do with them? After y'all kept them in that evidence block? What you do?
They were submitted to the GBI.
What did the GBI do with them?
We submitted them for, ballistics testing. I believe one of the casings was submitted for touch DNA and fingerprints.
Could you explain to the jury what ballistic testing is?
Ballistics testing consists of both tests conducted on a weapon and tests conducted on shell casings and projectiles. It can determine through their testing and comparisons matches that exist between shell casings in different cases, bullet projectiles. Again, it can determine matches. It can also tell us what type of gun a particular shell casing or bullet was fired from.
You said it can tell you what type of gun that shell victim fired on, correct, sir?
It is possible, yes, sir.
Do you know if the gun was used in the police shooting incident was the same gun that used in Omar Ray case, Mr. Ray case?
You can't answer that. I don't know whether we know the difference. Here's something. You'll be the expert. Sorry, this is
You said the GBI. You said the GBI lab, sir.
Yes, sir.
Touch DNA. What is touch DNA?
It is, it's also referred to as low-count DNA. It's DNA that may be left behind on an item after it's been touched by an individual.
What is it? Fingerprints, blood, or hair sample? What is it?
Usually skin cells, but it can consist of the other items you mentioned as well.
Skin cell, could you explain what skin cell is, please, sir?
That's the, basically microscopic makeup of your skin. In the case of a firearm, particularly this instance, when you have to load a magazine, as your finger's in contact, you may leave traces of skin cells on the shell casing. We also test items like firearms for DNA because there's some contact with the back strap of the gun that may result in DNA being left behind.
Did you find my skin cells on those bullet shell cases, sir?
Not that I'm aware of.
So if after the GBI, do they investigation on it? Do they give y'all any results of their investigation?
A report is provided to the case investigator.
Who was the case investigator on this case?
I'm not aware who the assigned investigator was. Sergeant Nichols was my point of contact with the robbery homicide unit. He or one of his investigators would be the assigned case investigator.
Okay, so the head investigator didn't talk to you about the role you played in the case?
Oh, he did. I spoke with a lot of people.
If the head investigator spoke to you, tell us his name.
Again, I'm not aware of the assigned case investigator.
Okay. But how can you, do he work with you?
He does.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
How could you not know who the head investigator is? You work with him, you spoke with him about the case. How do you?
Again, we have multiple points of contact in investigation. Sergeant Nichols, Sergeant Clark. I would typically meet with them and discuss the case. The assigned case investigator is a formality. He's the one that ultimately has responsibility for reporting. But many people are involved in the investigation.
But could you tell us about the conversation you had with the head investigator in the case?
Yes, sir.
Why not?
I don't know who the assigned case investigator was in this case.
Well, how did you talk to him? And you don't know who he is, huh?
Watch that. Sergeant asked me that.
How many times in your career have you forgotten who the person who you talked to? And they did investigate.
I can't say.
Is it something you often do or you didn't choose on this case to do?
Sergeant didn't even know. Yes, this is
Well, sir, I see a unique stocking cap that's on your property and evidence about you. Could you tell us about that?
That would, I believe, be what I placarded as item number 8 in the diagram.
Did you do any investigation on the DNA or blood or something? Did y'all look at it?
I'm not aware of any, no, sir. We believed it belonged to the victim.
I'd like you to look at Stacey 1026, please, sir. You see what light on the phone. Is this the cap that she found?
Yes, sir.
Do you know who cap this was at the time?
We believed it was the victim.
Could it possibly have been the perpetrator who shot him?
I suppose it's possible. Yes, sir.
So did you do any DNA? I see some blood right there. Did you do any DNA testing on that to see who blood that was?
Again, we believed it was the victim's cap, so no, I didn't request a test to be done on.
So in hindsight, would you go back and test it just to see who was for confirmation?
Possibly.
My name will ask you to the person who gives, right?
It's possible.
I like it. Can you see that with the lights on?
Yes, sir.
Can y'all see? I see some footprints right here. Who footprints are these?
Potentially officers or responding EMS personnel.
Okay. Could it have possibly been a potential, the person who shot this race could have been their footprint?
It's possible.
So did y'all do any footprints and try to look for footprints of anything?
No, sir, we did not.
But is it common that you look for fingerprints or footprints during an investigation, somebody got shot, even killed? It's common?
It is common.
Well, why you didn't do it in this?
Again, we believe they belong to the responding EMTs. This is the area they were in.
So you weren't going off fact, you were just going off belief, is that what you're telling me?
Yes, sir.
How many times is it your duty to look for the facts, or is your duty to look for belief? Which one?
The facts.
Sir?
The facts.
Well, why didn't you look for the facts in this case?
Again, it was my belief. What I had been told.
So it's safe to say you investigated the case off your belief instead of the facts, is that correct?
We are looking for the facts, but our beliefs do guide our investigation.
No further question at this time, and I would have subject to recall.
Sergeant Bradford, that car, when you got there, the doors open and closed.
Closed.
And the keys in the ignition there and the accessory position.
Yes, sir.
And with the radio on, as you indicated in the photograph.
Yes, sir, it was.
And in the front passenger seat, at that time, were the items there as displayed in the photograph. As you saw the photograph there.
Yes, sir.
And it appeared that somebody had been sitting in that particular seat at all immediately before the deceased pulled up to the driveway?
No, sir.
And is that one of the reasons you didn't seize those items? Because it appeared that they were, that no one was sitting there? It didn't appear that that happened?
That's correct.
And were you aware, tell me if you're not, were you aware of a description from any of the eyewitnesses that the person was leaving the scene with a hoodie at all?
Yes, sir.
Were you aware of that at the time you were processing the scene for the 5 or 6 hours that you were there?
Yes, sir, I was.
And at the time, at that point, you see 5 shell casings at all?
That's correct.
Were they all the same aluminum type PCI?
Yes, sir.
Got 40 caliber?
Yes, sir.
And were you aware basically of the shell casing that investigator Harold sees the next day?
I was.
Was it the same make and kind and caliber?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Hood asked you whether or not there was evidence that basically connected him to that particular scene. Correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Were you aware of a shell casing 40 caliber aluminum CCI that was found in the backseat of his car on March the 22nd, 2011?
It had been discussed, yes, sir.
And were you aware that that was fired by the same weapon that fired those 5 casings you found, plus the one that Detective Harold found?
I believe that was the result that the GBI crime lab came up with.
Thank you, sir.
Brief. Let's talk about this shell case you found in the back of that Cadillac.
Yes, sir.
Did you know anything, did they tell you anything about a gunshot hole in my door?
Yes, sir.
Did they tell you Mr. Brooks said he knew somebody robbed me and shot in my car?
Don't recall that.
Yeah.
Not, you were Agent Brooks with the GBI?
Jadon Brooks.
Oh, Jadon Brooks. I don't know, sir. I'm not.
Rebecca Shaw, are you familiar with who she are?
Yes.
Okay, she was investigating this case too, right?
Yes, sir.
Detective Clark was investigating this case too, right?
Yes, sir.
Did they tell you that Mr. Brooks told them that he knew Jamie had got robbed and somebody shot him in his car?
I don't recall that, no, sir.
Yeah. Do you know how that investigation got back in my car?
I do not.
Did y'all investigate to see how it got back there?
They may have.
Okay, but why did they talk to you about the sheriff issue in my car and you didn't do no investigation?
I mean, it was discussed with me.
Okay, who discussed it with you?
The detectives,
What are they names?
Detective Clark, Sergeant Salters, I mean, they were investigators and supervisors with the unit.
So you talked to Detective Clark, Sergeant Salter, and GBI agent Rebecca Shaw, right?
I have talked with them, yes, sir.
Now, who last time you talked to him?
In general or concerning this case,
Concerning this case?
I don't recall.
You know, how about in general, when last time you talked to him?
Within the last few days.
Now, you said Sergeant Salter, is that right? And Miss Rebecca Shaw, right?
Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Did you talk to him on December 29, 2010?
Probably not Agent Shaw.
But Mr. Salter, you talked to Sergeant Salter on 29, 2010.
On the 29th, I'm not sure. I know I talked with Sergeant Nichols. He was out there on the scene with me. I don't know if Sergeant Salters was at that scene that night
Okay.
or that morning.
You answered the question, did you answer?
I'm sorry?
I assume you finished your answer.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you talked to Sergeant Salter, did he tell you that they found some marijuana in the residence on Warren Road?
Yes, sir.
Tell us about this marijuana that they found.
I believe that was located on the 29th after I had left the scene.
Why didn't you tell the jury that when he was talking to you?
It wasn't my evidence. I didn't collect it.
But you could have just told the jury if you wanted to about the marijuana y'all found in this great house, right?
That's argumentative, not objective.
But you didn't lie.
It was found. I was not the one that found it.
But did you take pictures of that house?
Yes, sir.
Did you take pictures of that marijuana you found in that?
I'm sure pictures were taken. I did not locate the marijuana.
You didn't?
No, sir.
You didn't locate no digital scales and all that stuff there?
I did not, no, sir.
Who told you about that marijuana in that house?
Either Salters or Nichols. Somebody had gone out at a later time.
I think you stated that Mr. Mullen said something about you didn't know who was in that car, what possibly sitting down and that, right?
He did.
Okay, the truth is you didn't know who was in there.
I do not.
Could have been 2 or 3 people in there for all we know, right?
It's possible.
No more question on it this time, we're subject to recall.
Nothing further, Judge.
Thank you.
Lunch is here. Y'all will leave us.